Welcome to the Pinstripe Chronicles podcast, brought to you by Northeast Streaming Sports and Sportswire Radio. I am Tats. I'm here with Rob, and again, joining us for some deadline talk is Nikki G. And it was a wild day yesterday on the trade market. There were not a ton of moves, but a lot of interesting moves. And the biggest one on our end as Yankee fans was Frankie Montas was traded from Oakland. And the Yankees did not have to overpay for him at all. I thought it was a very fair trade offer. Rob, you're very key on the prospects. What did you think of the guys we got to give up for Montas and Trevino?
It's a perfect trade. You make that trade every single time. Waldichuk is the biggest name we gave up there, and he's going to be a good starter. You can tell he's got this stuff. He'll be fine over there in Oakland. But J.P. Sears came up from out of nowhere this year. Nobody knew who he was. Made the team out of the spring, and now he's a big piece going for a top-of-the-rotation type of starter. Medina has a lot of power at his arm, so that's going to be a little tough to lose but you feel like he's going to probably be a bullpen arm anyway, and then we gave up Bowman, who's another infielder, so it's one of those trades that you make every single time because you didn't have to give up any of your top four. We know that they love Volpe. Obviously, they love Peraza. They didn't want to move him. And now we get a starter and a reliever to add on top of the reliever we already got earlier in the day. So it was a great trade, in my opinion.
No, it really was. I think it was, because we were talking about how, we needed somebody just to kind of take a little pressure off of the rotation. And we also were saying just yesterday, if we need something, we need bullpen help, just to kind of take the pressure off of Holmes, who was closing very well, has not been on his A game his last couple of appearances. So I thought that bullpen help was something that was going to be very important, and they added not one but two bullpen arms because we also got Effross from the Cubs. And at first, the initial reaction was, who? Which is the same reaction we had to Holmes. And I think that I think Effross is one of those guys. They had little clips of his stuff, and the way his pitches move is just insane, and very similar to Holmes. And I think under Matt Blake, that his ability to put movement on his pitches is just going to be amplified. Nick, what was your take on the moves that were made yesterday? Did you think the Yankees did they address enough of their issues on the pitching end?
Well, the Yankees won yesterday. I mean, by far blew everybody out of the water in the trade deadline so far. The only thing that's on top of him is Soto. You guys are going to love Frankie Montas. I've seen that dude pitch in person many times. He's nasty. I honestly, I've told you over text, I think he's better than Garrett Cole. I think he's going to be your guys' number one. The dude's nasty.
What about the with the bullpen arm, the Trevino? Have you been able to see anything from him?
So Trevino was nails 2 years ago, and they put him in the closer role. He's been struggling this year, but with Holmes already there, I mean, you plug him into the 7th or 8th inning, he could go lights out for you guys. It's not that he doesn't have nasty stuff. It was in his head. He couldn't close out the 9th. He was struggling this year, but he does have good stuff.
I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how he fits into that role. And I think I agree with you. I think not being in the closer role in New York is going to help him relax a little more and be a lot more effective. Rob, what do you think?
Trevino is a lot more like last year's Clay Holmes and Effross. Effross you're underselling what he's done this year by saying he's kind of like Clay Holmes. The guy's been outstanding, and he's a rookie for the Cubs. So we got him for 5 more years, and his numbers are ridiculous. He actually has a higher F.WAR than Clay Holmes this year, so that tells you how good he's been. Trevino has been very unlucky because Oakland's defense is abysmal. So his FIP is a 3.83 while his ERA is a 6.47. That's a big difference. So you put a good defense behind him, he's going to improve. He's got a good strikeout ratio, and he gives up ground, or he gets ground balls, which is perfect because he throws a sinker. Matt Blake loves the sinker. That is a perfect pitcher for Matt Blake. Effross is just going to do what he's always done, and maybe Matt Blake can make him even better than he already is. But I don't think we need much improvement from Effross. He immediately becomes our second best arm behind Clay Holmes, and now we get Lou Trevino, who's under contract for another 2 years, I think, after this year. Who, as Nikki just said, it was great 2 years ago, and then he just struggled. So better defensively behind him. He'll be a 6th, 7th inning guy and should take a lot of the pressure off him. And all of a sudden, our bullpen looks a lot stronger today than it did 24 hours ago.
Yeah, no, the comparisons to Holmes, to better explain it, was the guy that the numbers don't jump out at you as a must trade for. He wasn't a household name. Nobody was talking about Effross. So the comparison to Holmes was that the guy where the numbers don't just jump out. He wasn't a guy that was on a radar that can really shine on the Matt Blake. That was the comparison. Not the numbers, not the way that they are themselves. Just the no-name pitcher. So that was the comparison I was trying to make. There were a lot of other moves that were made yesterday. And I thought the one significant one, because he is one of my favorite players to watch that's not a Yankee, and that was Trey Mancini going to the Astros. And what really bothered me about that is everything that Mancini has gone through, and with the way that the Orioles were playing, in the month of July, to see him not stay with the Orioles, really, I was really upset for a lot of the Orioles fans that are diehards. I really know that they did not want to give him up.
Yeah, that's difficult because he's such a fan favorite, but at the same time, I think Baltimore knows they're not going to be doing anything this year, so they might as well give him a shot because if I'm not mistaken, he's a free agent at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So they could always bring him back. We've seen teams do it before. They got something good. They got something in return for him, and he's got a chance to go win a ring with Houston. I hope he doesn't, but Houston had a pretty good day yesterday. They got Vasquez, who kills us, Mancini, who kills us, and they also got Will Smith that's about to go official in a couple of minutes from Atlanta. So Houston's making moves, and Mancini is a big get for them because they need another bat in that lineup, and he's a good bat. It sucks that he leaves Baltimore because he was such a fan favorite, but he's got a chance to go win a ring now where he wouldn't go with Baltimore even past this year. They're not ready just yet. They're close. But now they gave him a shot to go out there and chase a ring.
Yeah, Nick, what did you think about that?
Well, when you say that the Orioles aren't doing it, they're only 3 games out, and they just feel they're sellers. It's to me, I don't know. I wouldn't have sold my franchise guy, but 3 games out, especially since Cedric Mullins is starting to actually play a little bit better. Santander's on fire. Why deal him? You guys could have made a push, but. My feeling about yesterday is the Astros and the Yankees came in 1-2 in the AL, and they lengthened their gap between everybody else, whereas the Mets and the Dodgers are probably 1-2 in the National League, and they really haven't done much. So, I mean, I think the Astros and the Yankees showed yesterday how you do it. They didn't just settle for being the best teams in the American League. They widened that gap big time, actually.
Yeah, what's funny is with the Braves, they make that move, and then they go and they gave Austin a 10-year deal. Which is
not very much money either.
No, which is kind of strange at the trade deadline. You're locking up your players rather than bring. It just seemed like the timing just seemed a little strange in the baseball timeline of the season.
Well, Odorizzi's not. What's he going to do? He's not that. He's nothing. I mean, they already have Albies, Acuna, and now Riley locked up. That's 3 guys locked up for the next 6 years, I think, is Albies, right?
And Olsen.
Olsen,
yeah.
So I mean, and who they traded for Grossman as well yesterday.
Yeah, they got Grossman.
They made a couple of moves yesterday. They're pretty active, and they should be trying to add some more, I think, offensively. But if they want to catch the Mets and then keep up with the Mets, they're only a few games back. With the Mets, just keep finding ways to not let them take that lead. So the Braves still have a little work to do. The moves they made yesterday are not like earth shattering, but they're still a good team. And if they can add another couple of pieces to it, I don't know why they traded Smith though, because he was nails for them in the playoffs,
especially with Jansen's heart problems.
Right.
That was that's where that was one of those moves you had to read it a couple of times to make sure you were reading the names properly.
Yeah,
but no, where do you foresee any moves before because right now it's 20 to 10 in the morning, and the trade deadline ends at 6:05 Eastern time.
Yeah, 6.
What are the Mets waiting for?
I don't know. It's making me worried. I mean, we're not that much better than the Braves. Really, we're not. I mean, I really think the Mets just got hot at the wrong time. Like, they're hot right now, and so they're, for whatever reason, not making moves. I mean, they're 7-0 since they got Vogelbach.
Yeah, but and they also, I think tonight they have DeGrom back, right?
I mean, that's the biggest piece of the trade deadline, but I mean, still, DeGrom is DeGrom, and we get to the playoffs, and DeGrom or Scherzer pass it. That's going to be tough for any team to compete with.
Yeah, but without a solid bullpen behind them, what good is it?
You can't stand pat. You got to go out there and get better, just like the Yankees just did. You have to go out there and get better, especially when you have unlimited money. They have unlimited money. Go get what you got to get. If you have to give up prospects, do it. If you got to sign people long term, do it. You want to win, right? What do? He guaranteed a championship, a World Series in 3 years, 3 to 5 years, he said, right? Well, go out and do it.
They need a bullpen arm or two.
We need a whole new bullpen.
They should be on Robertson, and there's other, like, I think Chafin's a guy they've been on, and they're like Bell from the Nationals, but now apparently San Diego wants him too. So I don't know what's going on there, but the Mets have to get at least a couple of bullpen arms. You get DeGrom back if he's even 80%. It's still one of the best pitchers in baseball, so they don't really have to do much in the rotation or anything in the rotation. They can add a first baseman like Bell, and he can DH whatever they need him to do, but they need that bullpen help, and they're going to be a legitimate threat. They already are, but they're going to be even more legit if they beef up that bullpen.
But that's what
the Red Sox said they want Dom Smith and J.D. Davis, so I could see Martinez coming to us today. I can see that happening, but I mean, he still doesn't help our bullpen. But I mean, he'd be a solid DH, but we do need some bullpen help a lot. I think 3 arms in the bullpen would be nice.
No, the Red Sox have bullpen pieces that they can move, in the right package.
Yeah.
So I think that the Mets and the Red Sox can, if they're continuing to talk about, making a move, those are the two teams that match up very well, especially in the Mets' favor. Because, like we were saying, the rotation for the Mets is fine, the offense is fine, the bullpen that's going to be the Achilles heel for the season for them. So, not that we're looking to help the Mets, but that's really, that's what they need to do. They need that bullpen help.
Yeah.
The Dodgers, I don't think they've done, they haven't done anything. The Padres, they're trying to sign everybody. I'm surprised they haven't made an offer for Gallo yet. They're trying to get everybody.
If you look at the Dodgers roster, though, there's really not that many holes. Maybe bullpen help. Some bullpen help, maybe. That's a pretty solid roster.
Dodgers are loaded, and if they make a push for Soto to get him from instead of the Padres, then I don't know who's beating that. Like, it's difficult. They're already really, really good. It's just if the Mets want to really put themselves over the top, they need to add bullpen help because Diaz can't do it all by himself, which is kind of similar to what the Yankees are dealing with because with the injuries and struggles, Clay Holmes is starting to struggle now. He's been doing it by himself, really. Mm-hmm. And you look at the Mets, and they have a couple of guys that are solid, but it's been Diaz, and then it's been shaky. So they need to really take the pressure off of him and get him some seventh, because he's not going to be able to close 2 innings every playoff game. You need to get him that 8th inning guy, or 7th or 8th inning guy.
And Diaz really can't go back to back. He struggles in the back to back outings.
Yeah, which is why that's why they didn't use him in the Subway Series. I think he pitched that one game. I don't remember seeing him in the second one. So yeah, you're right. Diaz, if he gets that day in between,
yeah,
he's as good as any, as perfect as a closer that any team would want. When you overextend your bullpen, that's usually what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And like we talked about the last time, his confidence this year is such a big difference from when he first got here.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
He's got no fear of the New York market at all, and that proves a lot. So you need somebody behind him. You can't rely on Lugo.
No.
So, what player is there? A player that has not been moved yet? And I don't not Ohtani, not Soto, because those are the obvious ones. Is there somebody that you're expecting to be moved that that hasn't been moved yet?
Wilson Contreras.
That's a good one.
And Ian Happ as well. And David, basically anyone from the Cubs. Because they haven't traded anybody yet, if I'm not mistaken. All their big tradable pieces are still there. They traded Martin like last week to LA, but everybody else is still around. So they're going to be active today. If they're serious about this rebuild thing, they have to be active.
I think I think they also have to maybe lower their price a little bit. Not drastically, but just enough to get other teams to bite on the deals.
Yeah, I still am holding out hope that we go after Ian Happ, because we were in on Soto up until last night, and we apparently made a giant offer from Ohtani. So it tells me that Cashman wants another bat, and Happ would be a lot cheaper, and we get to keep Peraza and Volpe and Dominguez and Wells because we apparently don't want to move them. So I think if he has one more move in him, it's go get another bat, and that could be Happ. And then you can get some prospects back when you eventually trade Gallo, because he's gone by 6 p.m. today. If he stays on the team, then that means something went wrong. Either that or they're going to cut him. He's not going to be here past today, and there are teams that are interested. So they need another bat. Ian Happ checks all those boxes, because I don't want to see Aaron Hicks playing every single day.
Was it just something from the Rays writers that the Rays made inquired about Gallo, but the Yankees' price was too high? So you can't have a high price for a Gallo. You can't.
You can start high. You can because teams see the value. There is still value there. I've been saying this all season long. Everyone's like, "Oh, he's so bad. He's so bad." Other teams see that once you take him out of New York, he's going to be fine, because you don't drop off the way he did from the first half of last year with Texas to what he was with us. It doesn't just happen. No player just gets bad in a day. So if he leaves New York and goes to a place like Milwaukee, which is not the big spotlight place, or San Diego even, where he'd have a ton of protection in that lineup, he's going to be fine. He needs to be on the West Coast. I think a team like Colorado can use him, but they're not really looking to add, obviously. They're not in the race, but he could sign there next year. He'd be perfect in that stadium, I think. But right now, there are teams that can say a change of scenery, get him out of that New York spotlight, will do good for him. And they're not going to give up too much for him, but there's value there.
All right, Nick, what do you think about Gallo?
Just send him back to Texas, man. At this point, he's got pop. I mean, he's got pop. I think he's just all in his head. It's all in his head. Once you start struggling in New York, the fans don't let up on him. So I mean, New York's not the type of place you can go struggle and work yourself out. It just doesn't work that way there. Yeah, it's just like Philadelphia. You're not going to go there and struggle and hope to ride it out. They're not going to let you ride it out. You need to produce. Send him to Texas. But Texas is in the running too. So I mean, who knows if they're even willing to take a chance on him?
Yeah,
they're right in the thick of things.
Texas is going to be hard to really get. I don't see them as really a big player come the postseason matchups.
You guys need to just give him away. Give him away.
Well, that's what it is. Just
Trade
let
him for a
go.
water boy. I don't know. Just get rid of him.
And so we'll take the ball boy or the bat boy.
Yeah, exactly.
At this point, because when you saw he wasn't in the lineup yesterday, and at the end of the night, and he's still on the team, I'm like, that was just a tease.
That's usually a sign, though.
Yeah, because they love putting him in the lineup, regardless of what he's doing. So, but what do you think the probabilities of Rondon seriously being moved?
I think I hate to break it to you guys, but the Giants are setting themselves up to make a huge offer for Judge. That's what they're doing.
Why do you say that?
Well, if you've heard,
obviously we know that he's from the area.
He's from the Bay Area. He played college ball there. He wasn't just a Giants fan growing up. He was a diehard Giants fan growing up. He's made. I've heard I think 2 different interviews where he's not sounding like he's coming back to New York. There's just the tone in his voice is like, oh man, if I was a Yankee fan, I'd be worried. I think they're setting themselves up to make a huge offer for him.
Yeah, Donald's been very concerned with the way that he's wording.
It's just the body, like the body mannerisms. It's like when he's asked about it, most people are like, "Oh no, just leave it to my agent." He sounds like he's leaving.
Rob, what do you think about that?
I don't know. I don't want to put too much stock into it because during the All-Star break, he literally said he wanted to be there for the rest of his career, and then the next day, he had that weird interview with Marley Rivera. So he's been kind of like teetering in terms of what he's been saying, because one day he'll say he wants to be here, the next day he makes people believe he's gone. But San Francisco really is, if they trade Rodon, because that, even though he's going to opt out, that takes any chance that he opts in, that takes that $22 million for next year off the books completely, and that is going to go a long way into paying for Aaron Judge, who's going to command 33 or more. So it's a good fit for him, if we're being honest, because he's going to hit a ton of those into the freaking McCovey Cove over there. So
I'm looking for him. I want him to hit him to that baseball mitt.
Yeah,
baseball mitt is 500 feet out there. I would love to see someone hit it out there.
I still don't think he's going anywhere, but I can see why people are concerned because his answers haven't. But he's been saying he wants to be here every time, but now the second he changes up a little bit, it's like he's out the door. I don't think he's leaving.
Well, he's not going to turn around and be like, well, I'll be here no matter what, because then that lowers his price.
His price, yep.
Especially, and then with the numbers that he's putting up this year, his numbers are going up. So I think that he's actually been very smart in the way that he's answering these questions and not leading on one way or another if he's leaving or if he's staying, because that's going to keep the bidding war on the high end, not the low end.
Yeah,
agreed.
No, the Yankees know they have to pay him, and they messed up by making him that offer as late as they did, by announcing the offer to the entire public, and then making it go all the way to the day of arbitration over $4 million.
Yeah,
it was poorly handled by the front office. So they should have had him locked up after that rookie year. They should have just been like, let's forget about arbitration. Let's get you locked up for at least another 6 years, because he was already a star. They named a place in right field after him after one season. You don't see that happen with the Yankees. If that wasn't enough to just sign him right on the spot, it would have been cheaper. But now you're going to have to pay premium free agent price for the guy, and they better do it. And if they don't, then they better have a really good contingency plan, because it's going to be difficult to sell the fan base on the roster we have without Aaron Judge, because he's carried this team yet again on his back. Take him off the team, we're a wild card team.
Yeah, no, but with the Giants again, the players that they had during their World Series runs are all gone. They haven't had that. Their marquee players since Posey retired. So it serves them well to bring in another guy that is going to put the people back in the seats. and have something to go and watch. So that's why the Giants, I believe, is so heavily invested in Judge.
They still got a good team, though.
Yeah.
They're not a bad team. They got a lot of solid pieces. I mean, even though they've struggled this year, they're still right there in the race. So it's not a difficult sell. Like, if we get you, we're going to go spend the money on other pieces. They have money. So they can definitely add. And if they bring in Judge and a couple other pieces, they'll be right there. But if San Diego gets Soto and the Dodgers are still the Dodgers, the Giants kind of need Judge if they want to compete. Which is a scary thought. So that the pressure's back on Brian Cashman in the front office immediately after the season ends to get him locked up.
I don't want him to make another lowball offer, hoping for a hometown discount, because you're not going to get it.
Nope.
Not with the year he's having. If he was having a year like he was a year or two ago, yeah, maybe you could kind of get him that way. Not this year. And you had every time he comes to the plate, he's either hitting a home run or almost hitting a home run. So my question for you, Nick, is how many home runs do you think he's going to finish with? Do you think the Bonds record is in jeopardy? Or how close can he get to it?
73?
Yeah.
No, I don't think that. No, I don't think that'll be, because they'll stop pitching to him. Down the stretch, they're going to stop pitching to Judge. He's at 43 right now?
Yeah.
I'd say 65. 65 is probably a solid number to reach. But as far as his contract, you guys should go shorter with more the average per year. Make him the highest paid average per year player in the league. It doesn't need to be 7, 8, 9 years. Just go 5 or 6. Make him.
Well, yeah, one of the things that we had talked about when in the offseason with the contract was give him less years with higher money, but add on, say he won, say he's looking for 10. Have that, give him a solid 6 year, and then have incentives in the later years.
Yeah.
If you get, if you play X amount of games, if you have X amount of home run, like give him the, milestone incentives and bonuses. That might entice him to stay while you're not locking him up, locking up your payroll for the next decade.
If he wants 8, just give him 8, because we offered him 7 this past offseason. And if he wants the 8th year, just give it to him. If that's what it takes, and if you have to bump up the AAV a few million, because I think it was 31 a year. If it takes an extra year and an extra $4 million a year, just do it, because he prints money for the team. I mean, everybody in the stands is wearing 99, and does so. Yeah. It just makes too much sense to re-sign him. And if it takes 1 extra year, they did it for DJ, but that was to lower the money. But this isn't DJ LeMahieu. This is Aaron Judge. Yeah. So you have to do it, unless you want to see him playing in another uniform.
Yeah, no.
It also might not matter what you guys give him. He might just want out. He might just want to be a Giant.
He might.
Well, that's true too. He might want to. Who knows? In free agency, we all know the Padres are going to make a run.
I don't think he leaves. I don't think he leaves the Yankees just to go to anybody. If he leaves, he's going to the Giants. If he doesn't leave, he's staying with the Yankees. That's it. Yeah. It's either Yankees or Giants. That's the only 2 in the running, in my opinion.
It really that is true. It's either going to be one or the other. There's really nobody else in the mix. The Mets aren't going to take. Aren't going to go after him. The Dodgers. There's nobody out there. It's going to be one or the other.
It doesn't matter who goes after him. It's a matter where he wants to go.
Yeah. Oh, they're all going to try, and any GM would be a fool not to make an offer on some level.
Yeah.
But that is going to be wrapping things up for us today, and hopefully by 6 p.m. we have some more news to announce. But you have been watching the Pitch Strike Chronicles podcast on Northeast Streaming Sports and SportsWire Radio, and we thank you for watching. Wear your pinstripes, your pride, and play hard.